Go love your own enemies. Don't be loving mine. My enemies are the theocratic fascists. I don't love them. I want to destroy them.
You're a child made in the image of God. Oh no, you're not. You're a faggot. And you can't join your church and you can't go to heaven. This is disgraceful. It's inhuman.
Last night while I was driving, I had a very beautiful woman get in my car. She had a figure that a 20-year-old would envy. And she was 51, or she was going to become 51 this year. Long, beautiful hair. I mean, her hair looked like something that a 20-year-old would envy too. Just amazingly unaged as far as her face. I mean, she just looked like a woman in her 30s. Early 30s. I was blown away when she said she was a year younger than me. I'm like, what is your secret? Anyway, I took her to her destination yesterday, and then I took her home, and she was quite a bit more depressed and just very sad on the way home than she was when I took her to her destination, because she had been hoping to meet with somebody. Actually, it was her ex that she still has feelings for, still cares about. And on the way home, she had been drinking, so she was, that didn't help her depressed mood. But she was sad because this man had never shown up. Apparently, she's still holding hope for this relationship. And he's moved on, or at least that's the impression I get. And that's the impression she got too after he didn't show up last night. She's like, well, anyway. She spoke about God a lot. About, well, this is what God wants. This is, if this is what God wants for me. Obviously, God has something better in mind for me. This, just all these things. It all hinged. It all came back to the puppet master in the sky is creating all these things to happen. It's all supposed to happen. This is all part of his divine plan, which is what Christians use. This is everything's part of God's plan, except when you're referring to the mass genocide and all the times that bad things happen on the planet, and he does not lift a finger to help it. But anyway, so she's bringing it all back to God. Well, this is, if God wanted me to have this, it would happen. God must have something better. I need to trust in God. Da 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 da. And I smiled and drove my car. I am not shoving my atheism down people's throats while I'm driving. I feel like people want to hear about an atheist's opinion. They can go to an atheist channel on YouTube or Facebook, but I try really hard not to go seeking out people to witness to. It's a tendency that I have hardwired into me from years of being a Christian, that I want to, spread the good news of this wondrous thing that has brought me so much, has strengthened me as a person and brought me peace and just an understanding of my place in the world. I kind of want to share that. But anyway, I resist the temptation. I just pretended to agree with her, the whole thing. A lot of atheists do this as a regular thing. That's what they do. Sticks in my craw, but I try really hard because I don't want to. I'm sorry, my car. I have a captured audience. That would be something a Christian would do. If you have a captured audience, that's a great time to pull out the big guns. Well, I don't. I had a captured audience. I wasn't going to use that moment as a good opportunity to spread the word of atheism. I didn't. I just agreed with her. But I thought about a lot as I was driving home, and I've been thinking a lot about it ever since, and how I made a video a long time ago about self-abuse being the most insidious kind of abuse there is. This is another form of self-abuse. When you think about what are the necessities of life, right? Food, water, air, shelter, and I would venture to say love. I think, dogs, cats, horses, guinea pigs, littler, well, I don't mean to imply lesser life forms, but creatures that we view as, let's say, lesser than humans, creatures seem to thrive on affection and being petted and being talked nicely to, and being loved. Love. And obviously wild animals get along without humans loving them, but I think that wild animals develop friendships with each other, and affections, mated pairs develop affection for each other. So anyway, I think it's a necessity for intelligent creatures to feel something, connected to something, or part of something, or like they belong to something, or like they're accepted or welcomed or embraced in some form, whether it's physical embrace or emotional embrace, but they have some kind of this affirmation that they're okay, that they're lovable, that they can be loved. I think it's kind of in our makeup that we all crave that. We crave being able to fit in and being accepted and appreciated for our, no matter what, even for our faults, still appreciated and accepted and loved. I think that's in us. I think that's very much in us. So I venture to say that love and affection is also a necessity of life. And when you look at a scenario with a kid and a parent, and the parent neglects the child, maybe they feed the child and they clothe the child and they give the child the shelter, but in every other way they don't interact with the child. They don't encourage the child or show support or comfort the child when there's bad in the child's life. People who neglect their children emotionally, it's being recognized more and more as abuse. Emotional or verbal abuse is a very bad form of abuse that has been proven to be one of the longest lasting. The effects of that kind of abuse, verbal or emotional abuse, has been proven to it leaves the deepest scars. It leaves the kind of scars that nobody sees. The damage can go on for years and years and years and nobody knows because Johnny doesn't show up in school with bruises all over, right? So when you see a child who isn't getting love, who isn't getting the comfort and the support and the encouragement and all the things that nurture a little child, you say that child's being abused. That child is in an abusive environment. So then the child grows to adulthood and they replace mommy and daddy with God in their heads. Okay, God is my parent in heaven. God is my loving father. Loving, underline loving. Their idea of loving is this God. Except when things happen that, they crave love, they crave human contact and affection when this is not something readily available. God has a different plan. It's like they put it on their parent in heaven. Well, it's because God doesn't want this for me. God has something better coming, Instead of just acknowledging that you cannot control what another person feels or what another person does or what another person values in life. You can't control anybody else. You can't control a lot of things in the world. All you can control is yourself and how you feel. But instead of coming to grips with that, and understanding that maybe this person just isn't right for you because they don't appreciate you for who you are. They don't value you enough. They don't care for you enough. Instead of coming to grips with that, this would be really good for me, but it's obviously God wants something else. So in a way, you're putting yourself back in the role of a little kid not getting one of the necessities of life, not getting love. You're being denied love by the imaginary parent. So in a way, the abuse is perpetuated. Is that the word? The abuse goes on. Only now it's imagined. The neglect is imagined. You have the imaginary parent neglecting you and withholding from you a necessity of life, i.e. love. And you're accepting of this because, okay, it must be good for me. It must be good for me that I don't get to have somebody to hold my hand or hug me or be there for me when I need a friend. It must be good for me to be alone. It must be good for me to be lonely. All these things. Because my parent says so. My parent, if it was, it's part of their plan for me. So it's good. It's good that I'm supposed to hurt right now because things will get better because there's a plan, and God's plan is that I don't have this person that I love with all my heart. His plan is that something else, so I'm just going to wait. And you never move on. You continue to pine for the thing that you can't have that's being withheld from you. And telling yourself that it's good for you, that the hurting is good, that not having the basic thing that you need to live is good. Because it's all part of God's plan, and God's plan is good. It's like you continue the whole cycle of abuse. You don't have mommy and daddy neglecting you anymore. You have God showing neglect, but it's not neglect because it's God. It's good for you. It's loving. Somehow it's loving to not get what you need, what your entire being craves. It's good. It's good to go hungry. It's good to be alone. It's good to starve for love. Be starved for love. And you never get over the way of thinking that you have to have love. You have to have it. You have to have acceptance. You have to have people's approval to be a truly worthwhile, valuable person. You never understand. You never grow to understand that, yeah, it's important, but it's really not a necessity. We can live without it. We just have this society that pushes it on us our whole lives. That you have to have a lot of friends. You have to be popular. You have to have somebody who loves you to have any value. Your value is based on what other people think of you. That's how we're all raised in our society. But when you let go of this whole thing about, okay, well, I'm gonna get love someday, but it'll be in God's good time, It's like you're still holding out for it, and it's still hugely important to you. Instead of going, okay, well, I can't control what other people think. I can't control what other people feel or what they value. I can't control this person that I love so much doesn't love me. And I can't make them love me. I can't make somebody think things about me that I want them to think. I can't make people change how they feel. Instead of just, battling that realization and just, you're going to go through a grieving period where you realize that this person that you've fallen in love with is just never going to be in your life. You go through a grieving stage. I'm trying to think of the word. You grieve this thing that has become so important to you that you realize is really not. I mean, you come to believe something exists or could exist that you have to eventually realize won't ever exist. And the moment you get rid of this whole thing with God, it's all part of God's plan, and realize no, there's nobody controlling the ship. Things happen or they don't happen. You can either cry about it forever and nothing changes. It still is the way it is, no matter how much you cry or pray to God to change it or whatever. It doesn't change. It stays the same. The moment you can accept that and let go of that and realize, you know what? I just can't control everything. And it's like, well, this is how it was for me anyway. Eventually you start realizing that this longing, this hunger for this thing that you've decided is, you know, is as necessary in your world as food and water, which I really think deep down is a very important thing for humans, but a lot of that is what we put on it. We build this importance on it. You know, loving yourself can be just as wonderful. Or having a little animal to love you can be wonderful. It's such a basic thing. You know, instead we build all this up on it, this whatever, expectations or hopes. Anyway, I didn't know if this video was going to make any sense. I just wanted to launch into it and try to see if I can talk some sense into it. But I guess my point is, when I see somebody like this woman who's beautiful in every way physically, beautiful in every way physically, even at 51, and possessing a wonderful personality. She was just a really sweet lady. Lived in a beautiful house. At the end of this ride, I told her, I said, this is all you have going for you. The only thing that's standing in your way from all this possibility is you. You know, as long as you continue to focus on the past, you're never going to open yourself up to the future and all these potential things that could be so wonderful. You're never going to open yourself up to or find or discover or see, because you're going to be so focused on this thing that you can't have because God has a better plan for you. Fuck the stupid plan. Fuck this idea that, oh, you know, you have to wait for the parent to approve of your happiness or approve of, okay, I'll give you a few crumbs from my table. Like, you're at the mercy of this parent for your own happiness. You know what? Fuck it. Okay, so you don't get to have this person in your life. It has nothing to do with some parent figure denying it. It's just because this person has a different makeup than you and it's just somebody doesn't appreciate you the way maybe, you know, you deserve to be appreciated. So fuck them and move on. There's so many people in the world. There's so many amazing people in the world. You know, you get so locked on one person. You miss out on all this other wonderful potential, you know. You continue to see yourself as the little child waiting for mommy to give you permission, waiting for mommy to give you something to eat. You're dependent on this other thing for love and acceptance and just to feel good about yourself. This woman is, you know, she's waiting around for God to reveal his plan for her, when she should fucking go out and make her life what she wants it to be. She's the one at the wheel. She's the one controlling the ship, you know. And the moment she starts to realize that, the moment the victim role, little victim role that she's been playing her whole life, she's the victim on the stage, you know. The moment she realizes that she has absolute power over her own destiny and who she decides to care about or not care about, the moment she realizes it's up to her, the victim role just goes away. And the whole poor me shit goes away. Or at least most of it goes away. It's so easy to bring it back. I mean, you can so easily. I could easily go back. All I have to do is think about the past. Think about the past and start making my little list of all the bad things that have happened and all the wrongs that have been committed against me. All I have to do is start making that mental list, and the next thing I know, I'm just so sad. It's just, you know, life is so unfair. Everybody else gets to have somebody, but I don't. Life's so unfair. It's like, you know what? There's so much more you can get in life. There's so much more out there than just having somebody's hand to hold. I mean, that's nice, and if you find it, awesome. But, oh my gosh, you know, there's just, it's not the only thing, and it's not the best thing. There's so many wonderful things. And you can do all on your own. You can take yourself out to dinner. You know what? It costs half as much as when you have somebody else with you. So technically you can do so much more. Anyway, did this video make sense? I should leave a survey at the bottom. Check yes for no, or check yes or no, whatever, 2 boxes, yes or no. Did the video make any sense? Anyway, I guess, okay, trying to summarize, I see the same pattern with adults who pine after someone they can't have, and see God as the strict parent withholding this thing that they think is so good for them. I see the same pattern there as the little child longing to be fed and hugged and loved and nurtured by mom, being withheld that from mom. And the same mentality, okay, well, it's got to be good for me because the authority figure, you know, says so. I see the same pattern, and to me it just perpetuates, there's that word again, it just continues that kind of that victim role. It continues the victim role into adulthood, but it also continues the hurt. You're continuing to be abused, but now it's an imaginary parent that's abusing you. Imaginary parent keeping something from you that's oh my gosh, if I just had this thing, I would be perfectly happy. I would be a whole complete person if I just had this person in my life loving me. I mean, you literally get to the point where you feel like, this is the missing key to my happiness. This person. All I have to, you know, if they would just love me, I would be better. But you're being withheld that by this parent figure. You're continuing the abuse and the neglect. Only it's you yourself doing it. You know, you've imagined your abuser into existence, and you're painting yourself right back in the victim role, letting the neglect continue. You know, rise above it. Say fuck it. You are the captain of your own ship.
I am absolutely convinced that the main source of hatred in the world is religion. And I think it should be religion treated with ridicule and hatred and contempt.
Share the same weather, winter or summer, May or September, the 4th of whenever, it's better together. Let's get together. Home is where